Mixed Media Tuesday today on my YouTube channel. Now for today the inspiration comes from this box. This is a journal subscription box that is from CoraCreaCrafts. If you're not familiar with them, it is an American company, they ship from US, and every month they have a different kit with a different theme, and they give you lots of bits and pieces that you can put together art journals with. Not only art journals, you can definitely create cards or any other crafting project. The theme this month is Scotland, and I will show you what's included, but before that I want you to know that I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I wasn't paid for doing this unboxing video and I will not get any commission if you buy from them. However, they were kind enough to give me a coupon code that you can use to get 15% off. So first of all, there is a stamp set included where you can find many geometric shapes, Celtic ones, that you can use. I will be playing with one of them or a couple for my background. Then there is another stamp. Again, this is a silicone one, but instead of being standalone, it is mounted on a wooden base. Now there is also a page with stickers. This is matte, hopefully you can see, so it's not shiny at all, and they are really easy to peel off and use on your projects. Then there is another page, but this time it is shiny. You can just use your scissors and cut out elements from here, and this is a semi-transparent sticker, and it's all in one. You can use it as your background if you like. Now there are pattern papers. I'm going to go through those really quickly. There are many different designs on top of them and different color combinations, like the purple ones for example. All are themed with Scotland in mind. I will be using 2 of those today for my project. I loved the girl, so I'm going to use this one as my focal point today. And then there is another pack of pattern papers that they have some foiling on top, really gorgeous ones, and I think that this would make great backgrounds for cards as well. So tartan at the background and then that foiling silver or gold on top in beautiful shapes. Then let's take a look on what else it is included. Now you get a couple of tape rolls. Now this one is full of little postal stamps. They do have foiling on top and you can just cut them with your scissors and stick them on your projects. And then the other one is what we call PET tape, where you get many different images from Scotland, and these are already cut out for you, so all you have to do is to just peel them off and use them on your projects. I will be using these ones in a reel, in one of those short videos that I post, so I will show you some ideas. Now I am going to go ahead and create something for today using products from this kit, and I think that it is a great idea if you are a beginner, because if you don't know where to start or what to use, you can just get inspired by what is included in this box. So for today I will be using distress oxide inks, because I feel like most of the people do have ink pads in their stash, and I will be using those to add some color on my background. I'm working on my 6x6 watercolor paper journal, which makes it super easy to blend oxides on top. So I'm using 2 shades of red, a light and a darker one. And as always, I will be linking to everything I am using down below in the description area. And I'm going to mix those completely randomly on top of my page. Now, if you are wondering why I started with shades of red, it's because I was inspired by the Highlands lady, which was in one of the pattern papers, and she is going to be the focal point for my page. So I wanted to start with a color from her, so that she blends nicely with the background. However, I need to make sure that although the colors match, she is going to pop against the background and she is not going to completely disappear when I stick her down. That's why I'm going with lighter and darker shades, and I'm going to do some techniques on top of the background to make it look more interesting. before I stick her down. So let's bring in some brown, and for that I'm going to go mainly around the edges to kind of create a border which is darker. Again, I'm using one of my old school blending tools because I find that this way I can transfer really quickly ink on top of my page and I end up with an oversaturated background, which is exactly what I'm going for. Now, of course, when you have oxides as your background, it is really difficult to stay away from this technique. So all I did was just splatter a little bit of water, leave it for a few seconds to react with the ink, and then with a paper towel, just dab the excess water so that it lifts some of the ink and it gives that lovely, interesting background. Now let's do some stamping. For that I'm going to choose one of the Celtic designs, and I'm going with this one all around the border. I'm not going for the perfect impression. For my art journals I like to have more organic look, and I'm kind of creating a darker border without that being perfect. I'm stamping with permanent ink just to make sure that this is not going to smudge or smear. Now at this point I would normally grab a stencil and my paste and do some stenciling at the background. However, since it isn't included in a kit, I'm going to stay true to the kit and just try to use only what is there. So I'm going to do some stamping, but this time with my darker shade of red. So I'm going to add some visual texture on the background without stenciling but with a stamp. But notice that just because I'm stamping red on red, it's not very vibrant, it doesn't turn the background into looking too busy, but you still see something going on back there. Now let's enhance the look of the border a little bit more. I'm using black soot and I'm going all around the border to darken up the edges. Just a little bit. So I am happy with how the background looks at the moment. I can stop here and just try and decide how my composition is going to look. So here are the two pattern papers that I picked for this page. I want to combine them somehow. First of all, I'm going to use my scissors and just fuzzy cut the girl. While you do that, make sure that you don't make your life difficult. If you find any difficult parts like the foliage on top of her hat, just chop it out. No one will ever know that it was there in the beginning. So you will see what I'm going to do here. I'm just making my life easy without overcomplicating things. As I fuzzy cut, I will do exactly the same thing with the hair strands on front of her face. I'll just chop everything out. Now from this pattern paper I'm going to cut out two pieces, and I'm planning to layer them one on top of the other, the pieces of the map. And before I do that, I am going to use my blending ink, and I'm going to do a little bit of blending all around the edges. I will use the scissors and just rough up the edges as well. This is a technique that I always like to do because I feel like when I do layering, the layers one on top of the other pop against each other, as it adds some interest on the pieces as well as some dimension. Now I'm going to be honest here and say that not everything I do has a reason for why I'm doing it. Sometimes I just feel like doing it. I'm just trying to explain why I do everything, but sometimes there is no why. So here, for example, I'm going over her red parts to make them look more vibrant, which I feel like it worked. There are other ways that I like to add vibrancy, like with my big brush markers if you follow my videos. However, for this page, just because I want to stay restricted with the products in the kit and my ink pads of course, I'm just going to stay with that. Now she is quite tall, and what I'm showing you here is that you can use her in bigger projects if you like. However, for my page today, I am gonna have to chop her off, although I absolutely love her beautiful skirt. Anyway, the page that I'm working here is 6 by 6 inches, so you have a rough idea of what I'm going for. And then I'm also creating some notches. I'm using my tweezers to just roll up the edges. I feel like there are little details that make those map pieces more distressed and more authentic looking. So once I'm happy with all my elements, I can commit and stick them down. For sticking everything down today, I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe glue. This is a matte glue and I'm making sure that I don't add way too much of that glue all over the place. There are many benefits on doing that. First of all, I don't have glue all the way to the edges, which means that it's not going to ooze out and react with the distress oxiding that I have on my background and make a mess. Also, at the same time, I can always tuck things underneath all those layers because I don't have too much glue on the edges, and I can always change my mind and tuck things little bits and pieces here and there. And then I find that people overuse glue on their journals, which makes the journal pages kind of wonky. Too much glue means too wet, on a lot of moisture on your pages, which is going to make them wavy. So trust me, those little pieces of paper do not want to escape your page. Just a dot of glue at the back is going to keep them in place. So pretty much my composition is ready. I want now to add some little details here and there. Plus I do have lots of elements in my kit that I want to play with. So here I fuzzy cut the castle. This castle was in the same pattern paper as the lady. So all I did was just cut it out. Now I'm inking up the edges and I'm just going to stick it at the bottom on top of the maps. I think that looks nice there, and since we do have a Scottish page, we do need a castle for that. Now I want to add some more extra details on the borders, so I'm using this pattern paper and I'm going to cut out a couple of strips so that I can use them along the border. I don't want to create a full border all over the place, but I want to add some of those strips here and there. Just stick them down with my glue. Now I do have those stickers and I want to use them somehow. I love them because they are matte. So I want to use this one, but I don't want to use it as it is. So I am going to just chop off the part that I need with my scissors. And then I'm going to embellish a little bit the bottom where the lady meets the rest of the ephemera pieces that I have cut down. Then let me use some extra foliage from here, and I was thinking that maybe I can use that on her hair, on top of her hat, but I think that the hat is already beautiful as it is, so I don't want to touch it, I don't want to make a mess out of it. And that's why I'm going to use this one there. The good thing about creating a composition is that you get to play, you get to audition all the different elements and decide what looks best. So here I'm just playing around, and I love the fact that it is on a transparent piece of paper, which means that I can easily audition without having to cut out everything beforehand. Now I'm just going to chop off the excess. I think that it looks lovely as it is. All that's left to do is to add the doodling and the quote. Now for the quote I decided to go with "Strength looks great on her," which I print out with my label maker. You can print it out with your normal printer. You can write it down if you like. You can even put together words by using alphabet stickers or alphabet die-cut letters. And now it is time for my doodling. I like to get a very fine black marker and just go around some of the cutouts. I'm not trying to outline everything, I'm doing only sketchy lines, and then I will add some highlights with my white gel pen. Just here and there, little details which is going to bring to life the lady. And this is where I want to remind you that whatever I'm showing you here is what works for me and what makes me happy. I'm just sharing my process and hopefully this is going to inspire you to create something today. But always remember there are no rules in our journaling. Just use the steps that you like and do the techniques that you absolutely enjoy. So that leads me to the last step for today, which is always to add some white splatters, just because I love them. So for that I'm using white calligraphy ink, and of course I need to cover the face of the lady because I don't want to have any weird blobs of white on top of her face. So that was the project for today. You can see here some close-up photos. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and like the video if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you all next time.